December 4th, 2020. My name is Christopher Saunders. This is a special edition of the Connecticut Coaches Roundtable. I'm pleased to have two current head coaches, one for Granby, the other for New Canaan, and both are returning back on the podcast, the CT Sports Talent Show. I'll introduce first Coach Wally Hansen of Granby. Say hello.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Good stuff so far, man. Keep it up.
I appreciate it. And returning again, second time. I didn't scare him away. Coach Melzer, pleased to have you back on for a second time.
Glad to be back. Looking forward to it, Chris.
You know, guys, I think first and foremost, want to get right to it. I've asked a lot of coaches this since I've been doing this roundtable, and each one has kind of given me a different perspective. So I kind of want to, and I'll stay with Coach Melzer here. When you saw the January 19th date, what was your first reaction?
You know, my first reaction was surprise. Everything I had heard leading up until that day was that we were going to start on December 5th, at least with practice, and then potentially games either right away or games later in January. But when they said absolutely nothing until January 19th, I was very caught off guard by that. I think most people were. Once I got over the initial shock of it, I realized that, we are in a national crisis and this is a serious thing. And as long as, we do what we need to do in the next month and a half and we get the numbers a little bit lower and head in the right direction, and certainly the vaccine hopefully will help with that as well. I'm looking forward to January 19th. I'm excited about that date and I just want to get going.
Coach Hansen, I know you and I have gone back and forth before the date was official on January 19th about kind of what would happen as far as if it was this date, if it was December 5th. I don't know if you heard, or Coach Melzer, I don't know if you heard, but I was hearing it was either December 5th or nothing. So when I saw the date of the 19th, I was extremely happy to at least see the CIAC wanting to try at least to give an opportunity for your program and all programs in Connecticut an opportunity.
Yeah, I was surprised too because I looked at that December 5th day and I was thinking all or nothing myself. But getting that date, January 19th, it at first it didn't really make sense to me, but it seemed kind of arbitrary. But if you look at that date, it kind of aligns when schools come back from Christmas break and there's that 14-day, 2-week quarantine period, or see how the numbers go period in terms of how this all is playing out. So I just hope on January 19th and, being, to use Coach Melzar's word, cautiously optimistic. I'm sure we're both ready to go right now. I know I'm in that mode of, my body, my mind feels like I'm ready to coach and go through the grind and spend late nights looking at film and scouting and practice planning and all that stuff. So for the next month and 5, 10, whatever days, it's going to be a little crazy, but let's hope it happens.
And that's kind of been what 2020 has been, where it's been nothing but adjustments and having to figure out new ways, the virtual training, virtual learning, all that kind of stuff, which is what 2020 has become. Thankfully, we're almost done with 2020, but who knows what's in store for 2021. I'll stay with Coach Hansen here. How has it been for you? Because you just mentioned how you're used to, practice, game planning, scrimmages, the whole nine, tryouts, everything. But now you can't do any of that. So what are you doing in the meantime?
I mean, you're taken out of your routines in terms of getting ready for a season. Being at Granby in a small school, I have kids that play in the fall and do other things. But this year is kind of unique where I have a lot of guys that just play basketball. So we were able to lift for 5 weeks as safely, and everybody came out of there safe. And we stopped that immediately when the new guidelines came out with conditioning and only having 4 people. But I've met with my team. I'm a teacher in the building, so I see the kids a lot, and I just try to stay positive with them. I try to be optimistic with them. I try to continue to coach them up in terms of mentally, you just got to stay focused, and you have to be self-disciplined where you have to work out on your own. You have to find ways to kind of get together. October and November were really nice in terms of the weather. There's no reason for kids to go outside and go and play some pickup and do it as safely as possible. So it was definitely a challenge. And when you're taken out of your routines of conditioning and getting ready for the season and maybe having a few open gyms and getting ready for that, it was definitely challenging.
Coach Melzer, I feel like that's kind of the same way for you as being able to, have your players be prepared in, what 2020 has been, but how has it been for you and also your team itself as far as getting out of the normal routine?
Yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment. We did our strength and conditioning program outside up until very recently when they limited the four, like Coach said. So, the kids really took well to it, though. They did a great job with it. I think it was something new to them, so they kind of they went with it. They did a great job, and like Coach said, it's we're not used to being in this situation, after Thanksgiving, and we can't do anything. Like right about now, we're gearing up where we've got our minds are spinning. We're not getting any sleep, but it's the best time of the year, and we're kind of just on. I just feel like almost helpless. Because we're in a hybrid situation in high school, I don't see the seniors all that much. So I miss my kids, man. I don't get to see them as much. I don't get to spend any time with them. So, we do have a Zoom set up tomorrow where we're going to just check in with the guys and say hello. But, this is right around the time of the year where we're going full speed. And for us to be doing absolutely nothing is really difficult for us. But at the same time, I think we're gonna try to find alternate ways to do something. One of the things we're looking at is doing some sort of strength and conditioning program online where they can do it from their house. So they can do it safely, but at least we're going to be together as best we can in this situation. So, that's where we're headed right now. And, we'll take it day by day.
I think any which way to be able to keep the players engaged and have an opportunity to be able to keep them on the straight and narrow path and not kind of lose them to other. I mean, think about it. They're at home. They're not really being able to go out and do stuff, A, because of the weather, and B, because, the virus, the cases are going up. I saw today when I went to the gym at 4:30 in the morning and I took my dog out and I had the news on and I heard that they said that I think it was out of all the districts, only 6 in Connecticut. There's a lot of districts, where they aren't in the red. So that's over 95, 96% being in the red. So I think, and I'll go to Coach Hansen here. Kind of what is your, seeing what's going on right now in Connecticut, how are you making sure that the players are staying in the straight and narrow path?
Well, with that, Coach was saying, we have a meeting. We're going to schedule a meeting for Monday, and obviously through Google Classroom or Google Zoom, whatever you want to call it. And we're just going to brainstorm some ideas of what we can do. And I think I'd like to put more on the leadership of our team and the seniors, and really kind of get an idea of where they're at and what they're thinking. And with kids, they're resilient, and I think a lot of times as adults we can kind of take a lesson from how they're acting. And I think they have some great perspective, and they really kind of are going with the flow. They're frustrated, but they're not showing it from a, externally, which you kind of worry about, but I think they have a good perspective, and we're just going to try to, put our heads together and for the next month and however many days, try to figure out something to do where we can stay connected, they can stay fit, potentially putting together a schedule where I'm able to work with the 4 kids during that time to condition them and rotate daily, maybe Monday through Thursday, and 45-minute sessions, and just try to figure out exactly what we can do and what we're allowed to do. Because sometimes it's out of my hands. A lot of times it's out of even our AD's hands. It's out of even our principal. It comes from really, really high up what we're allowed to do, but we're going to make the best of it. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to stay optimistic and, try to challenge the leaders a little bit to really, okay, guys, what can we do? What do you want to do?
I think if 2020 has taught us anything, and I think past, I think people did listen to the young men and women who are coming through to become adults. But I think now more than ever, because we're starting to see how much they are engaged, how much information they know. There's, think about it, with social media and just, everybody has an iPhone. They can look up anything in a split second. And, I'll go to Coach Melzer here. Do you think that because the way the athletes and just the young men and women in general so far in 2020 have been as far as being able to be as mature, do you think that they've maybe helped out coaches, like Coach Hansen, yourself, and others to maybe, even if you've had some struggles, to try to get through what is a very difficult time?
Yeah, in times of adversity and difficulty, you gotta be able to lean on other people, and I think these kids, like Coach said, are so resilient, and so just being around kids every day as a teacher, I see it every day, and I see how they're powering through this, and I see how they're making the most of it, and I see how they're, excited to be in school again, which I bet if I would have asked kids pre-pandemic if they would miss school, they probably would look at me with like I have 10 heads. But they're excited to be back. They're excited to be around each other. They're excited to be around the teachers. So I feed off of that energy, and I try to be as positive as I can with them as well. So we're making the most of a bad situation, and we're going to get through it, and we've gotten through it so far, and we're going to continue to do that. And like Coach said, I think it's a great point. This is a great time to lean on your seniors and lean on your captains and your leadership. And I actually spoke to a couple of my captains today about that. And, this is a great opportunity for them too, to really do something in terms of leadership that has never been really called upon before. They're really going to have to lead the team and organize things. And I'm going to be completely removed from the situation. I think this is a great opportunity for them to learn what leadership is all about. So, they're going to learn on the job, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like.
Now, the news that came out a couple of days ago, again, have not seen a confirmation. It seems like it's a rumor, but it's been talked about having a 12-game season and the tournament championship ending on March 21st. Now, I'll stay with Coach Melzer here. Do you think, I think having any amount of games is a positive thing, because that means we're returning to some sort of normalcy. But do you think the shortened, season, and then depending on how the team, your team, for example, is constructed, do you think that it could be a problem, or do you think it could be a blessing?
I haven't even given that much thought. I just want to, I think I speak for everybody. I just want to get out there and play. If it's 12 games, I'll take it. I certainly, I want a full season, and I would love to see a way where the CIAC can make that work. But if it's 12 games and then a conference playoffs and a state playoffs, sign me up. I just want to get out on the court. I want to get into the gym with the guys. I just want to be back to as close to normal as possible, where we're in the gym, we're working, we're competing, and we're enjoying basketball. So I haven't given much thought in terms of advantage or disadvantage or anything like that. I think we're kind of all in the same boat. But I hope that the CIAC can find a way to make it work. And if they can make it work at full capacity, that's even better. So, whatever they're gonna decide. I can't control that, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna, whatever we can do, we're gonna be ready to do that, and we're gonna look forward to that.
Coach Hansen, if there is not going, if the cases are still too high to be able to have a typical state championship, do you think it's possible to kind of see what happened in the fall, where you had conference, league games as far as within the vicinity, and kind of having that be the championship? Do you think that's something that maybe basketball, both on the boys and the girls side, can kind of mimic from the fall?
Well, yeah, I mean, and Coach articulated it really well in terms of we'll take whatever we can get, because everybody wants to compete. Everybody wants to get in the gym and practice and be with their kids. And, some of the moments that coaches really love and enjoy are some of those moments in practice where you're working really hard, but you're laughing with the kids, and you just have those great moments. So, if we're going to do the pods and that's what we have, then let's do it. We'll compete against anybody that anyone wants to give us. We'll drive to New Canaan. We'll go anywhere and compete if that's what they tell us to do, and the CIC allows it. So, ideally you'd like to play for, your conference, the traditional conference championship. You'd like to play for a state title, but if that's the case, then we'll do it. We'll sign me up right now. And if that's all we get, I'll take it. And the kids will take it.
Another thing too, that the players and even yourselves are going to have to adjust to. And again, I've seen it in the college game, coaches, when they yell, I don't know if I'm sure you guys have watched some of the college games. They're yelling with their mask down, and then when the camera's on them, they put it back up. It's like they know what's going on. And I'll stay with Coach Hansen here. Do you think the mask, and I understand there has not been a lot of science and there's really not a lot of information to it, but I'm just intrigued by wearing a mask. It's not like, it's not like baseball where you're not exerting a lot of energy. Basketball, it's up and, up and down, and it's just a lot of energy. Do you think that the mask wearing could be a little bit of a problem just in the beginning, just to adjust?
Yeah, I mean, from personally, it's going to be a problem. I mean, I like to get after it as much as possible. I'm sure there's a lot of, other coaches or other, teams in the league that prefer to have me out with a muzzle on prior to COVID. So, yeah, I mean, like it's gonna be adjustment. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be weird because I don't know exactly what it's gonna look like in terms of like how do we huddle up with our kids? How does that look like during timeouts and during breaks? Like, what is that gonna look like? But if wearing a mask is what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. Like in terms of the player's perspective, like it'll be an adjustment. When we were lifting weights, we had to wear masks. And I told the guys, I'm like, listen, like if this is what we have to do, I need to train you to be able to play. So you're not, depth is going to help too, but like we want to make sure they're trained and ready to wear the mask and compete.
Coach Melzer, I kind of want to go back to the point with the CIAC pushing the season potentially at least to the start of January, 2021, January 19th, and giving some time. Do you think in some ways that allows them to see kind of what the college game is doing as far as, and I understand college gyms, high school gyms, completely different. I get that. But I feel like, watching a college game, I've seen the benches kind of spread out. I've seen the mask wearing. I've seen different kind of protocols done. Do you think maybe there's a way that they could use some of that or take some of those ideas that they've seen at the college game and try to implement that so that way there can be at least a successful basketball season?
I hope they can do whatever it takes to get us on the court. If it's modeling after the college game, then let's do it. If it's learning from the fall season, let's do it. Like whatever. The more I try to figure out what they're thinking and how they're conducting what they're doing, the more confused I get. So I'm not going to spend any time really worrying about that. Whatever they deem we need to do, let's do it, and let's get these kids back on the court. That's where I'm at. I just want to, I'm sure I speak for a lot of coaches and a lot of kids. I just want to get out there and play. I love basketball. The kids love basketball. They love competition. I love competition. And I want to be able to enjoy that. So if it's modeling after the college game and spreading out on the benches and taking extra mask breaks, whatever they need to do to make it work, I'm all for it. Let's get it done.
Is there any? I know you said any ideas you've had, you kind of gotten confused, but is there anything that you've thought of that you thought, wow, maybe this could actually work? And you're like, wait, no, it's probably a stupid idea, but it may not be. So is there anything that you've thought of that maybe could be implemented? Because you never know. The CIC may come and ask you, hey, Coach Melzer, we need some ideas. What do you have?
Yeah, I mean, there's been talks about, potentially just having varsity play, and then have the freshman and JV programs play on Saturdays. So you're minimizing the amount of kids in the gym. There's talks of having the boys and girls play on the same night. Listen, I like I said, I know I don't have any say in what they're gonna do, so I don't really give it too much thought. I just I want, like Coach said, we encourage our kids to work out in masks so that they're used to it, they're ready for it. When we start the conditioning online, we're gonna suggest that they wear masks. So whatever they can do to prepare for this, we're going to do. And then whatever the CIAC or the department, the DPH or whoever tells us we need to do, we're going to do. But I don't have any great ideas, unfortunately. I just want to get out there, and whatever we need to do, we'll do it.
Coach Hansen, this is an idea that, I have not asked you yet. So I'm really intrigued when what I'm about to ask you. if there is not going to be a season, and I hope there is, I think everybody, but I'm just looking at it for, okay, we need to have a plan B, because if plan A doesn't work, we need a plan B. So if there's not going to be a season, do you think that there's a possibility? Because I saw in Game Time yesterday, there was an article about potentially, talking about coaches and trying to coach their team, beyond just the basketball season, but looking at it from a bigger perspective. Do you think that there could be a chance that maybe you could coach your team in the summer, AAU style, in the fall, just something to kind of not just make up, but try a new idea? Because what we've seen in 2020, new ideas, you throw them out there and you see which one sticks.
I mean, I hope so, because, you look at, I understand why it's done, like, because we don't want kids specializing. We don't want coaches, plucking from other sports. And I think, but I mean, in the summer, if I have kids that want to come into the gym and do some skill stuff, like, and there's parameters that can be set where, in the summer you do some skill stuff, you can have your open gyms. You can, obviously there's conditioning that you can do all the time. You can meet with the kids all the time, but I feel like there would be some value and benefit, if we're in the kid business, if we're in trying to like help kids, and, you have guys that just play basketball or just play a certain sport, and they have opportunities to do stuff with their coach, their high school coach. I think there's value in that. And there's no reason why those kids shouldn't be able to spend some time with their coaches that are organized, that are safe, because this is what we're trained to do. This is what we love to do. We have experience coaching. We have experience with, Coach Melzer is a teacher. I'm a teacher. I think both of us, we get it. So if they can allow us some time in the summer and the fall, I think that would be beneficial for everybody. In the spring, whenever, whether, again, kids, everybody wins, families win, kids win. So I would like it.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and agree. It's time. It's time that they, we're the coaches that are certified. We have to take CEUs every 5 years. We have to take a certification course. We have to be certified in first aid and CPR. And yet we can only work with these kids for 3 months. For the other 9 months, Joe off the street can work with them, and he doesn't need any certification. He doesn't need any qualifications. And, kids are getting misled, and kids are getting taken advantage of. And the other piece that I think some of the coaches were talking about is the inequality piece too. There's some places where they can hire an off-season coach, and they can pay for a gym, and their kids can get extra work. And then there's some places where they can't afford that, and they can't do that. And the inequalities and the gap grows even more because, the CIAC has these rules that we're not allowed to work with our kids. And like Coach said, I do understand the specialization piece, and I do understand coaches could potentially abuse it. But I feel like there's got to be some compromise. There's got to be some middle ground where, maybe they designate 15 days or a 2-week period or a month period where you can work with your kids. I mean, how, Coach, I'm sure you feel this too. It's so frustrating when a kid comes to me and says, "Hey, Coach, can we get some work in?" And my answer has to be, "No, we can't, because I'm not allowed to work with you." I mean, how ridiculous is that?
It's real crazy.
These kids want to work, and we can't help them. It's very frustrating for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I've said various times on, broadcasts that I've been doing over the course of the time in the NVL, because I'm sure you guys know about the NVL a little bit, and just some of the basketball teams like the Sacred Hearts, the Holy Crosses. I can tell you, even the teams that have been kind of, you could say, down, the Wilbies and such, who of late have been getting better, they have talent. But the problem is that there's a difference, because they have athletes, they don't have basketball players. And because they're focused on other sports, or like you mentioned, they're not able to really work with their coach, except for the 3 months that they have playing basketball. So I think if the CIEC, again, probably not going to listen to me, who knows? But I feel like if the CIAC wants to repair a lot of the damage from the fall, and depending on what happens in the winter and how long and such, I feel like the best way is allow the coaches, like Coach Melzer said, you're certified, you should be able to be around. If a player says, "Hey, I want to go shoot," as long as you follow protocols, and the schools are open, allow yourselves to be able to work with the players. Coach Hansen?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. And Coach said it like both him and I, you're a PE teacher, you're a PE guy, like, and, you know, you have the keys to the gym, you have the keys to the school, and like you just want to get kids to get up shots and be in the gym, and you just can't do it. You can't, if it's once it's March 20, whatever, it's over, which again, I get it because of, like, you know, there's spring sports, the CIAC does things that specific way, but there are opportunities where there's kids that just, they could use it. They need it. They need to be active, and, you know, they may not be able to play for an AU program, or because money could be tight, or whatever, for whatever reason, and they want some extra coaching. Like there should be an opportunity to do that. And like you said, like, you know, with the Wilbies or wherever you were saying, like in terms of the NVL, like the athletes, you know, they could be really good if they had a little more coaching and they had a little more training and proper training. And there are tons of coaches that are qualified, they're certified, that are teachers, that are, you know, do what, not just teachers, but like that want to help. And I think it would help if we were provided that opportunity.
Coach Melzer, final thought?
Yeah, I could talk about this for hours. So I'm not going to waste anyone else's time, but it's definitely something that, you know, a lot of people make a big deal about the shot clock, and I understand that. And I would obviously vote for a shot clock, and I think that's something that should get done too. But to me, the off season stuff is actually more important than the shot clock, because these are kids, man, and kids, if you don't provide things for them, they're going to find other things to do a lot of times, and a lot of times, or some of the times, those other things aren't necessarily beneficial. So, you know, if we were allowed to work with our kids, and listen, I'm not suggesting making it mandatory. I'm not suggesting putting kids in a position where they have to choose between sports. I'm talking about kids that aren't playing anything else and want instruction and are coming to you about getting more development. I want to be able to help those kids. The kids who are doing other things, that's great. I support that 1,000%. But you're getting more and more kids that want the instruction, that want to work on their game, and we have to sit on the sidelines and let someone else do it for us. And in some places we can pay someone to do that. We can make that work. And in other places we can't. And that's not right. And I hope, I hope we come to some sort of solution, you know, pretty soon about that.
Guys, you're just about running out of time, but I really do appreciate you coming back on for a second time. You know, I thought this was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do this again in the near future. And again, hopefully the season will be happening, and then we can actually talk some basketball, and 5, 10, 12, 3, doesn't matter. Games, just get back out there and have some sort of normalcy. Coach Hansen, thank you very much for being able to come on.
Thanks so much for having me, man. Keep doing your thing. Dan, good to see you again. Hopefully we can see each other a couple of years from now in a non-league game situation. I'd be down if you're interested.
Absolutely. That would be awesome. And I want to, repeat what Coach just said. Chris, you do a great job. Thanks for all the support of the high schoolers. You know, they love the coverage. We love the coverage, and we appreciate what you do. So thanks for having us. It was a lot of fun.
No problem. And hey, if a game happens in a couple of years between New Canaan and Granby,
you better be there. You better be there.
Well, first,
you're doing the game. You're announcing.
That's right.
Sure, I'm there. I have to. And second, I'll make sure I mark it down here. The schedule, the matchup was made right here, December 4th.
That's right.
So I have it right on film.
I'm in. You count me in. We could do a home and home. You know, you come to us one year, we'll go to you one year. I would love to do something like that. That'd be awesome.
Perfect.
There we go.
Thanks again. Thanks so much, man.
No problem. That'll wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent, and I'm on a journey to find them all. Have a good one, everybody, and be well.